I mean, I do kind of feel like I've been going a bit Marvel crazy recently, and I don't want to get too bogged down in one franchise, but you did ask really nicely. So, disclaimer, this series revolves around criticizing things, and the fact that I'm doing that doesn't necessarily mean I dislike the thing. Thank you. Click below to watch the original Sins video, or to buy Captain America the Winter Soldier.
Also, does Cap need to run laps to stay in shape? Isn't it that concoction of superhero steroids that keeps him powerful even after 60 years of being in a coma? I guess he could have gotten bored, but damn, go fight crime or something.
So I already watched the first minute of the Birdman's video on this without thinking, so I have no idea if we would have noticed this without that. But we have no reason to believe the serum Cap is on negates the need for him to maintain his body.
Internet, so helpful.
Except for BuzzFeed.
4 years ago, Cole, they want that easy target back? Oh, you made this 4 years ago? Never mind then. Carry on.
This is a funny list of things that Steve needs to catch up on, but who just randomly told him, check out Steve Jobs of Apple Inc.? What you learn may surprise you.
You're right, that would be silly. What seems much more likely to me is that Steve Jobs just sort of came up in conversation at some point, and Steve was like, hey, I don't know who that is. I'm going to add him to the list.
Is he a superhero or is he born? Because in this opening sequence, it's tough to tell the difference.
When your superpowers are essentially just superhuman athleticism, then it is going to be difficult to tell the difference between your superhero and other characters that are just super athletic. Well, if by hard to tell the difference between, what you actually mean is really, really easy to tell the difference between, but their fighting styles are sort of similar.
What the f*** is going on? Is Cap not a super soldier with super strength? Cap went toe-to-toe with f***ing Iron Man in the Avengers, so why are regular human dudes suddenly a match for him?
First of all, it really doesn't take long for this guy to get his ass handed to him. And secondly, it's important to show that despite Cap's immense strength and fighting ability, that there are some people in the world who can go toe-to-toe with him. This way the fight scenes actually feel like something could go wrong, instead of Cap feeling like he just has infinite plot armor.
Best friends since childhood. Bucky Barnes and Steven Rogers were inseparable.
Why the f*** would this childhood best friend and fellow soldier merit his own wing in the Captain America Museum? I know the movie wants to suddenly make Bucky super important, but that doesn't mean the world would have.
Maybe if they were just friends, this would be silly, but they're not. They were more than just friends. No, that sounds like I'm saying they were together. So there's no problem here, actually. I'll carry on. Not only were they best friends, Bucky fought alongside Cap in a lot of his missions. He's definitely significant to the story of Captain America, even in the sense of studying the history of Captain America as an academic topic in this universe.
Just to start over.
Cap just happens to visit his would-have-been girlfriend right before her imminent death.
She doesn't die? And I mean, she's dead in the canon now, but when you released this video, she was still alive. See, this is the kind of thing that you can't really just justify by saying, oh, it's a joke. No, it isn't. It's a mistake. Are you seriously telling me you think that that's funny? Haha! That's incorrect. Hilarious.
These shady military goons brought in a battering ram instead of, say, I don't know, explosives to destroy this car.
May I remind you that the reason the battering ram doesn't end up working is that Fury just guns them all down? The battering ram isn't an inherently bad idea. Explosives would be riskier, would draw more attention to the fact that these aren't actually the police, and we don't know that they would work. It's not the battering ram that fails them here, it's the fact that when you shoot them they die. Which, you know, sucks, but switching out the battering ram for explosives isn't going to solve that.
I'd like to see these guys shoot out the tires for once. Who knows, maybe they skimped on automatic tire inflation technology and you can kill Nick Fury instead of whatever this is.
Okay, based on the sheer number of bullet holes in the car, I think it's fairly safe to assume that at some point one of these bullets has hit the tire, suggesting that the tires are just bulletproof, like the rest of the car is. Or, if they actually haven't hit the tires, that's ridiculous and you should have sent that. Like, honestly, is the movie really telling me that the car looks like this, but no single bullet has hit the tires? So either this is just a sin or it's a missed sin, but either way, it's a sin.
He brought his lightsaber?
This movie... You know what? No, I'm not going to say that anymore. It's been overused for a very long time now. Goodbye, old tradition of the channel.
That thing cut an escape tunnel through first his unkillable vehicle, and second through the street and into the ground in like 5 seconds. Plus it was able to displace a giant pile of rubble that carving such a tunnel would create.
Not to mention he dug that tunnel with heat, right? So in the few seconds it took the Winter Soldier to get to him, it somehow cooled down enough for him to climb through it? Like, what? That's honestly ridiculous. So yeah, this needed to be sent.
Jump down, f***er! What the hell are you giving up for?
Because Cap didn't see where Bucky went? I mean, I guess he could just pick a direction and run in it, but, you know, he'd have to be pretty lucky to find him at that stage.
Movie villains send regular humans to try and kill Cap in an elevator because the movie doesn't want to f***. It only wants some cheap foreplay.
These guys aren't trying to kill Cap, they're just trying to capture him. Plus, it's kind of difficult to send anything other than just regular humans after Cap if you don't have access to anything other than just regular humans. I mean, except Bucky, but he'd look kind of suspicious walking around S.H.I.E.L.D. HQ, I think.
Captain Rogers has information regarding the death of Director Fury. He refused to share it.
So we tried to kill him, rather than arrest him and interrogate him.
What? No! If they're trying to kill him and not arrest him, then how do you explain this part where they're clearly trying to restrain him and also using exclusively non-lethal weapons on him? Or do you think this is one of those killings where they've set themselves the extra challenge of restraining him first, just to make it more difficult for themselves? Let's not bring any guns or knives, let's only bring stun weapons. And it's not like you hadn't thought of them just trying to arrest him as a possibility, because you specifically say that's not what they're doing. So how did you see this and think, no, they're trying to kill him there, that's not what trying to arrest someone looks like. They just must have forgotten to bring any lethal weapons.
How much time will we have?
About 9 minutes from now.
9 minutes? For a level 6 homing program? Jesus, how slow is level 3? That is a huge-ass f***ing arbitrary window of time.
9 minutes seems a pretty short amount of time to me. You do realize they have to actually get to the location, right? They can't transport instantly anywhere.
Jesus, first they had to trace the drive's origin, then they had to spot the out-of-place fake munitions bunker, then they had to notice the small rush of air indicating a passageway. I'm beginning to think this villain that wants to be found doesn't actually want to be found.
It's funny you're starting to think that, because he doesn't want to be found. We've not been given any indication to suggest he does want to be found. So are you maybe getting the impression that he doesn't want to be found? Why do you think he wants to be found? Is it because they launch a missile there to try and kill Cap? Because that actually wasn't the plan. They just discover Cap is there and launch a missile to Cap's location to try and kill him. If you really did think it was the plan to try and kill Cap by luring him somewhere and then shooting a missile at him, why would they have lured him into the middle of one of their most valuable pieces of equipment, a simulation of one of their best scientists' brains? You know, why not just lure him literally anywhere else?
A beautiful parasite inside S.H.I.E.L.D.
Why is the evil Hydra science guy's brain computer giving up an exposition dump to the movie's heroes?
I knew it! When I was rewatching this film to prepare for making this video, when I got to this scene I thought, I bet Jeremy is going to send this villain monologue, even though in context it makes total sense, because he's just doing it to distract Cap until the missile arrives and kills him.
Okay, let's lure Steve to this place so we can tell him everything about our plan before killing him.
They didn't lure him here. He found the place, and then when they found him in the place, they tried to kill him by shooting a missile at him.
Call in the asset.
Why not just call in the asset in the first f***ing place?
Because missiles travel faster than Winter Soldiers.
Yeah, Cap, that fall must have made you groggy. We've seen you survive worse, no problem, but sure, you go ahead and take a rest now. You deserve it.
Are you kidding me? This is the thing that you're saying he should be completely unaffected by? I was half expecting you to add a, he survives this, Sin for this part.
Would this incredibly high-powered weapon be able to fire so many rounds at the bus without at least a few making it through and killing Cap? Because at the bottom of buses are that f***ing strong? Why are they even bothering to try this? And why aren't more things made out of bus bottles?
Granted, it does strike me as unlikely that none of those shots hit Cap, but they're clearly going through the bottom of the bus. You can see them.
Also, yet another weapon the bad guys pull out that could have ended this a whole lot earlier.
You say that this could have ended things earlier, but it's currently failing to end things now.
Do any of these people know what the way is to stay out of it?
Also, why is there anyone even still here? There's been a shootout happening, like, right next to them for a good few minutes now. Were they just thinking, yeah, I'll sit this out, it should be fine?
Sam swoops in to save Cap because he totally knew where these guys were after being on top of the bridge the whole time.
It's almost as if they're standing in the middle of loads of destruction, surrounded by fires, and there were also just gunshots and explosions there, like, just a moment ago. You know, it's almost like that would give away someone's position. Maybe just a bit.
Fine. Okay, whatever. I know you guys all love this movie, and that's fine, but I hope you realize it makes about as much sense as a Terry Gilliam fever dream.
Irony intensifies.
We are in final launch sequence.
Well, of course you are. The heroes have to show up in time to stop it, so you couldn't have done this any earlier.
Yes, making 3 giant genocide machines should be a piece of cake that takes absolutely no time at all. I'm sure you don't have to prepare them for launch in any way, they'll just be ready to take off.
Things! Gymnastics! Dodging!
Yes, that is what's happening.
I was just about to give this movie some sin points back for having this surprise badass older lady destroying all these dudes, but then this Mission Impossible shit happens and, well, I'm suddenly thrust back into the Brain Dead Academy School of Art.
Yeah, personally I agree with that. This scene seemed a lot cooler before the Black Widow reveal.
Hydra watched Star Wars, saw the completely unguarded glaring weakness in the Death Star, and said, hey, let's set up our own vulnerability to be similarly deserted.
Considering they actually need inside knowledge to be able to do this isn't that ridiculous.
Couldn't they just throw a grenade in one of these things and do the exact same job quicker? Later, they're going to blow these helicarriers out of the sky anyway, so why don't they just blow up the control panel?
No, that wouldn't work. The way they blow the helicarriers out of the sky is by reprogramming them to attack each other. If they just threw a grenade in here, the helicarriers wouldn't destroy each other.
Why'd Bucky ditch the goggles and mouthguard part of his uniform?
Because he lost them.
Is it because Steve knows his true identity now? Because Bucky doesn't know that. Remember how he was brainwashed again last night?
Yeah, but Hydra knows that, so why would they bother trying to conceal his identity when his identity is known?
Come on, you just evaded tons of anti-aircraft fire earlier. Now you're gonna get nabbed by something as clunky as a grappling hook?
Well, he was expecting the anti-aircraft fire, but he wasn't expecting this.
And none of the debris landed on or endangered anyone except bad guys.
Well, nobody ever said that.
Why not? He had no idea where the helicopter was, and the helicopter had no idea where he was, and even though he lands headfirst into a helicopter door, he survives this.
But he just told them where he was. They even quip about it.
As you can see, the US military, DC police, firefighters, and so on have jumped all over this crisis in downtown Washington.
How the fuck would you be able to see that from here? So, the sin total was 31, and the punishment will be a late upload. I'm sorry, I was having computer problems today, and this video ended up being a couple of hours late. Anyway, in other news, I would just like to say a massive thank you for pushing me over 20k. When I started doing YouTube, my goal was 1,000 subscribers, and I've just pushed 20,000. 10,000 was the first goal that, when I was starting, I considered unrealistic. Just like, yeah, that just won't happen. That's ridiculous. So it really means a lot to now be passing double that. So just a massive thank you to everyone who, for some reason, enjoys watching me enough to want to come back for more. Other than that, I've recently put up a new song on my music channel. It sounds like this, and you can listen to it by clicking the link on screen now.